That's the stuff. Yeah, get it, get it. One more rep. Let's go, big guy. Ah, God, do I miss the gym. And that's how you make some good protein. So before you unsubscribe, I apologize if you did not find that funny. But anyways, before we get into the topic of this video, I just want to say thank you to everyone that subscribed. We are nearing the 5K mark. So the reason why I made that skit was because gyms are reopening March 26. Isn't that amazing? That means I could drop deadlifts and I could squat without worrying about going through the floor into the neighbor's living room, and I could do bodybuilding. Holy smokes, I never thought I would say that I miss bodybuilding, but I freaking miss it because things have been a struggle in quarantine. So now let's talk about the topic of this video and let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about. So the topic of today's video is going to be a program review of Smolov Jr. Before getting into my experience with Smolov Jr., what is Smolov Jr.? Pretty much Smolov Jr. is an abbreviated version of Smolov, which is another program. Now don't quote me on this, but from my interpretation, Smolov Jr. is a segment from Smolov. Moving forward, we're not talking about Smolov, we're talking about Smolov Jr. So Smolov Jr. is a 3-week training program with a 1-week deload. It works by you entering your 1 rep max and to choosing a increment to bump up each week. On top of that, each week has 4 training sessions. Each session has a decent amount of volume. With Smolov Jr., since you're running at such a high frequency and volume per week, it is not recommended to really run more than 1 compound movement at a time while doing Smolov. And it is also not recommended to do this with deadlifts. So really, you only have 2 options, and that's going to be your bench press and your squat, and it isn't recommended to do both at the same time during one Smolov Jr. cycle. Wow, that's a lot of non-recommendations I just spat out, but I feel like I should have got those out of the way so I can continue on with my personal experience with Smolov Jr. So how much did I end up adding to my squat with Smolov Jr. in 4 weeks? Well, I started with a 455 squat and ended the program with a 495 squat. Now, before you start typing Smolov Jr. on Google, listen to what I have to say before making this commitment. So it's been 5 years since I ran Smolov Jr. And when I ran Smolov Jr., I was new to all programs, meaning I didn't run any particular program at all before trying Smolov Jr. So could I have used any other program to make the similar transformation? Probably, and I probably could have done so a lot safer. So the reason I bring up safety is because my dumbass 18-year-old, after running Smolov Jr., I have received a bad back injury shortly after running Smolov Jr. Let me put this out there. I did not get injured because I ran Smolov. I got injured because I did not understand basic training programming fundamentals, in which I'll break down right now. But before I do that, I'm just gonna say that if you're still watching this video, could you please like this video? I really want to reach 100 likes on this video, as this video took a lot of time to produce. Back to the topic. So what you're seeing on screen is pretty much a performance to fitness baseline graph that pretty much shows the training progression you go through a training cycle. And in Smolov is the same thing, where you accumulate a certain amount of fatigue, training drops, and you reach below a fitness baseline. And ideally, after a certain amount of period, after your 3 weeks, if you're looking at the cyan color, you go from all the way dip and you reach neutral, then you have this 1 week off and you reach a phase of super compensation. Now, if you're really unlucky with Smolov Jr., the fatigue is way too high because you're not used to squatting 4 times a week and you're not used to doing more than 5 reps, you're going to be in this red zone where it's too much. And not only are you going to be neutral, but you're going to be weaker than your fitness baseline. And if you do the inverse and you choose too light of numbers, you're going to be in this orange zone where training is too light and you don't get that much out of the program, which is arguably way better than being in the red zone where you end up risking bad injuries and failing your program. Luckily for myself, my training experience, I was able to accurately judge where I was at, and I was able to roughly be around the cyan color where I reached a super composed state. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't understand this graph. And since I didn't understand this graph, I thought my super compensated phase was my new baseline. And so for the next couple weeks after the super compensated phase, I ended up pushing my body way too hard and my body simply couldn't take the weights I was pushing anymore, and I injured my back. My recommendation is, if you're going to run Smolov Jr., please understand the basics of fundamentals of training, such as this graph. Once you reach the supercomposed state, this is not your new baseline. You might be a little bit stronger than your baseline at the end of the whole training program, and most likely, since you're not going to be squatting 4 times a week, your strength is going to drop dramatically. You lose adaptation from all the frequency and volume that you put yourself through in this very, very intense short period of time called Smolov Junior. So here's my final thought and recommendation on Smolov Junior. Would I ever run it for myself again? Absolutely not, because I think there's better options out there, and I think it's a terrible option if you're going for longevity. So I wouldn't recommend this program, but if you want to go ahead and try it, just understand that the strength gains that you're going to get out are most likely not going to be something you hold on to unless you're keeping up with the frequency and volume. Leaving off on that note, I do offer coaching that I'm opening up spaces in May. With my coaching service, I'm not just prioritizing powerlifting, I'm prioritizing bodybuilding. So I'm not just a powerlifter. A little background about my pedigree: I started off with powerlifting for a year, transitioned to bodybuilding from 19 to 21, and then re-entertained powerlifting with bodybuilding back into my training. I will be selectively choosing my clients, and I'll have to almost interview you in a sense where I'm not just going to be taking everyone. Be sure to DM me on Instagram early May. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about a back update. So how is my back doing? It's doing really freaking good. So pretty much I'm safe to go full throttle in training. Lower back is definitely fine considering that I was able to handle those loads. The next couple months, the goal is to get a 600 plus squat, 4 plate bench, maybe 385 bench, and 765 deadlift, 8 plate deadlift, because I am chasing that open Canadian deadlift record, and I really want that deadlift record more than any of those other numbers I just said. So probably gonna have to go pretty ham on deadlifts. As for bodybuilding, I'm going to build up to a body weight of 220 pounds. And the idea is to maximize my weight class, which is going to be 93 kilos. So when I do decide to compete and try to break that deadlift record, I'll have to lose around 10-ish pounds. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video. I want to hit like around 500 likes. That'd be a good goal. Okay, it's pretty unrealistic. I'd like to hit at least 100 likes this video. That'd be pretty awesome. Thank you for watching. Peace out.